Hey guys, Randy here at eTrailer.com. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Pace Edwards Switchblade. We've got this installed on our 2019 GMC 1500 and it really fit really well, very easy and quick to install. And as far as retractable tonneau covers go, it's really quite cost effective. This one has an ArmorTech vinyl that's bonded to the aluminum understructure, so it's nice and semi-rigid, has a little give and flex. Certainly not something that I'd put a bunch of weight on top of here, but I like the protection it offers and I really like the ease of use. I've dealt with quite a few of the different types of retractable covers that we have available, and I like how smooth the operation is on this one. You can see it very readily reels back in. It has a counter spring located inside of our container here. Now that's a self-lubricating spring, so as long as you open and close this maybe once a week, that system should work just about indefinitely. Also, when it's time to close it, we have the option of closing it from each side, of course, by hand. But I like just the strap here. Being able to pull back on it, it very quickly and easily clips into place there. We can close our tailgate with the cover closed, which is a big advantage we don't always see on some of the other ones. So whether we just need a little bit of access to get some stuff out of the back here, or whether we need full bed access, I think it's going to be a really good solution for you. Now when working with customers, the main concern for most of them is going to be one of two when getting a tonneau cover. Either they've got like a fifth wheel in the bed of their truck, or they keep some hunting gear, you keep some tools back there, and you need security. So the reason I like this cover is there's a couple levers in the back which will show you. You can't get to them without your tailgate being open. So as long as you have a locking tailgate, security is not going to be an issue at all. The other thing is going to be for protection. Again, maybe you've got a fifth wheel back there, you've got more sensitive items. I don't like my hunting gear getting wet, getting snowed on and things like that. So by having a system like this, it's going to keep that protected. It's going to keep the elements out of there for the most part. I mean, no tonneau cover is going to be 100% waterproof, but for the most part, everything's covered. They've got a real nice seal system set up all the way along the edge here. We're going to have a seal, and it's nice and flexible. It's not as stiff as what I've seen out of some of the other ones. It really contours right along with the cover. Same back here at our tailgate. You can see that seal is going to be nice and thick. It goes all the way across there. And then for the kind of the third level of that, each of our rails are designed with gutters that are essentially going to channel any moisture that might get into our canister here. Now our canister is a sealed canister and it has drains on both sides, the driver's side and the passenger side. Those drain tubes will just route out a already existing hole. Generally, you might have to enlarge one. On this application, we'll show you a little trick on how you can do it without having to enlarge it. But allows that water to run down and out, so it's not getting trapped in the back of your truck, causing any kind of issues with anything you might have stored in there. Now let's go back to that ArmorTech finish for just a minute. This is going to be a very high grade vinyl, and it is not just a cover that goes over the aluminum. They've bonded those two portions together. So we've got our aluminum slats, which you can see pretty much at each of these lines there's going to be an interlocking slat. So you've got a kind of a ball and joint socket. That's what allows it to roll up really easily for us. And then we've got this superior grade vinyl over the top of it just to give a lot of protection. This gives us kind of a matte finish look. I like that look, but also they have a metal version of this as well, to where the entire thing would be aluminum. Then you'd be looking at a finish more like this, a little bit more of a high gloss finish. And it could add maybe a little bit more rugged appearance if you were going with that vinyl cover on top. I like the way this one looks. I think the aluminum, if you're ever prone for like tree branches to scrape it or anything like that, I don't think it's really going to be an issue. But you know, aluminum does tend to be a little bit more sturdy than a vinyl, so I'd keep that in mind. Now when talking with folks about different tonneau covers, a question I commonly get that I never really thought of was, will it handle a snow load? So Wisconsin, Minnesota, you get a bunch of snow on it, and it will. You know, the aluminum construction and the way it's designed will hold a load. I mean, put 4 or 5 foot of snow on there, and I don't think much will hold up. But just normal snow, if you brush it off in the morning, I don't think you have any issues there at all. And something that I would recommend, if you don't feel like opening it each time, but you still want to see in the bed of the truck, we've got some nice LED light kits that you can install. Basically have a button back here that you can press and turn those on, and basically it'll illuminate everything inside of there. You can see it gets pretty dark in there. We're in a pretty bright area right now, and it's still pretty dark in there. You might not be able to see each and everything you want to get out. So that would be something to keep in mind. Outside of that, it's pretty much kind of all contained. You're going to get everything you need. I think it's a really nice cover. I think it'll do a great job for you to keep your stuff either protected from the elements or secure from theft. Another common question I get when working with customers is, how much space is the tonneau cover going to take up in my bed? So we've got a few different numbers to try to help you out in determining what kind of room you're going to lose by adding the tonneau cover. The first one's going to be how much the bed rails stick inside from the outside edge of the bed. And in that case, we're looking at about 2 1/8 of an inch. Then how much room does the can take up in the front, or the canister that holds the cover? From the front edge of your bed to the very back of the seal on the handle portion, it's 15 1/8 of an inch. And then from the top of your bed rail to the bottom of that canister, it's going to be about 8 3/8. Now, a couple that'll give you an idea about some cosmetics would be that the bed rails themselves, where they sit up over the top, they only stick up about 1/8 of an inch, so it gives it a nice flush appearance. The canister up front is going to stick up off the bed rail by about 1 5/8 inches. Now, in working with customers who own these, I get a lot of positive feedback on these covers. Of course, we kind of already touched on the installation process. I really like the way this one goes together. The clamps are really easy, the drain tubes are easy. It's just a simplified installation process than what I see out of a lot of the other ones. I also hear how good they are with snow on top. They hold up really well. So if you're up north or where you get a lot more snow, it's going to be a really good solution there. And I also like how well they work. I think our customers say, I've heard that several times, just so easy for it to roll up and come back. And it offers good weather resistance. Now, I've not dealt with a tonneau cover yet that is 100% waterproof. I just really don't think they exist. But this one seems to have all the right stuff on it to make sure that anything that you've got inside is going to be protected as good as it can be. All right, now let's walk through the installation process. You can see how really simple it is to get it installed. We're going to first start with our canister. We need to place that up in the front of our bed in the bulkhead. We're then just going to use our tape measure, and we want to get that centered side to side so we have the same amount of overhang on each side. These are not that heavy, maybe 30, 40 pounds, the total canister weight here. So you can see you just wrap the strap around it. That'll give you a good spot to hold as we carry it up and place it on our bulkhead. Just going to release that strap now, get it out of the way. All right, just square it up. All right, looks like we're good there. So we've got it pushed all the way forward. We've got it centered side to side. At that point, we'll move to our rails. Now let's grab one of our side rails. Basically what we're looking for, you can see this end is open. That's going to be towards the cab of the truck. This end is closed. That should be towards our tailgate. And we want this flange side to stick over the bed rail on our truck. So that's going to help you identify left to right, or driver to passenger. I'm going to pull those off. Now that's not a sticky substance. It's just there to protect this during transport. Then we're going to bring our rail up. You can see how it engages just like that. It's going to slide over our cover portion, right up like that. Now we're ready to get our clamps installed for our rail. There's going to be 4 in the package. We're going to start with 2. We got 1 short and 1 long here. You can see the longer one here goes towards the cab of the truck. The shorter one's going to go towards the bed. Now to get these positioned correctly, you can see we've got a little groove here and then a little groove here. If we come here, we're at the driver's side front. If we look behind our canister, we'll see this aluminum plate. you can see this little recess right behind it. So what we do, take our bracket, we're going to place it on the back side of this little rail that runs here. Bring the front side around and then slide it forward right up against that piece of aluminum. Now we've got the inside portion of our clamp. You can see this large circle is going to slide over this. Just like that. And we're going to take one of our knobs here and place that through. Knob with the long bolt. It's going to go through, and then on the back side we need to place a barrel nut. Now we want to run that down so it's snug. Make sure our clamp's aligned, that portion's facing right up into the corner there. And then we need to tighten this down to 10 foot-pounds. So that's not very tight at all. Just over hand tight. About right there. Should be really good. Now we'll head to the back. We're going to repeat that same process, just using that shorter clamp. Then we'll do the same thing on the passenger side. You can see just behind our canister, we're going to have a little angled piece that comes down a slightly elongated hole. So grab your small hex bolt. It's 1/4-inch hex bolt. Also 1/4-inch flat washer and lock washer. The lock washer goes on the bolt first. This is going to get threaded right up and in. Just like that. You use a 7/16 and you can get that tightened down. And we're not looking to over tighten this, but we certainly want to make sure that our lock washer is fully compressed. Got that fully compressed. We'll just do the same thing on our passenger side. Now we're ready to get our kickstand installed on the tailgate side. Basically this helps to level out the rail. So what we do is we're going to slide it right through the hole here. And we can place on a flat washer and a lock washer. And we've got a wing nut there. Now we're just going to loosely install that for now. We're going to rotate this up into a position where it makes good contact on a flat surface. So going right in that corner, that looks pretty good. Basically as we adjust that, it brings the level of our rail up to make sure we have nice smooth operation. And we'll secure our wing nut down. Make our little fine adjustment there to get that leveled out. Now we'll head over to the passenger side and get it installed in the same place there. Now if you'll look underneath the cover panel for the front here, we're going to have the lubricant that we need. This is going to be for our seal edge and also for the wear edge. That wear edge is right underneath where that seal sits down. If we lift that up, it's what our tonneau cover is going to ride back and forth on. This protectant helps to keep that lubricated really well. So we're going to bring that out. We want to do our seal all the way back to front and then that wear strip. Now we've got our front cover here. We're going to have 4 holes, 2 on each side. And those need to line up with the P-clips that are installed on the canister, right here in the steel, one here and one here. Let's get that placed over. There's a little notch here. It almost kind of rests right down in place there, which is what we're looking for. Now it's time to grab the 4 long screws and a small Phillips. I'm going to place those down in and get that secured. And do that in all 4 of our locations. Now we're ready to get our drain tubes installed. One particular thing we're doing a little bit outside of the instructions is that we've added a 1/2 inch to 3/8 union. This would be for a vacuum line. Basically our customer wants no modifications to the vehicle at all. So we're going to use this to bring the size down just enough to fit through the already existing hole in the bed. So let's get this in place. There's going to be 2 notches on each side. You can see the 2 notches here. Now as we slide it in and align those 2 tabs, we need to rotate it about 90 degrees. Sometimes it will rotate pretty easily. If not, you can use some slip joint pliers and just kind of help it out a little bit. You see there, once rotated, nice and solid. Then we can just grab our other end and go through that factory hole. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Now, as an option, we can take the small piece of hook and loop that comes in our kit and just stick it onto the hook and loop that we already have on the strap. Kind of like that. And now this is meant to come right over here, kind of underneath the bed. Somewhere in this area, you can attach that there. And that's to hold your strap out of the way while you've got a load in the back of the truck. Now again, our customer doesn't really want a bunch of modifications. I don't think he's going to want that on there. And I'm kind of hit or miss on it. I think it could be handy, but I also think that your strap just being in the back would work out too. So if you decide to do it, I would take some rubbing alcohol. I would clean off the area you intend to stick this very well. And then just make sure it sticks on really well. You want it to adhere properly. What I prefer to do with this is to bring it back. I'll just take the two pieces of hook and loop here, kind of bring it up through these connection points and then just wrap it around. That way I can just throw my strap over there if I need to load something up. When I'm ready to use it, just grab there and pull on it. Opens up nicely, or closes nicely rather, and then when we're ready to open it, just set it aside again. Now we'll just take a second and check it out, make sure we got a good proper fit on everything. You see that tailgate seal looks really nice. Overall, I really like the way this cover fits, and I really like the way it looks on the truck. So as you can see, guys, the installation process, it's not all that difficult. Just think it's a good, solid cover. I think it'll give you years of great service, and it fits really well on our 2019 GMC Sierra 1500.